Saucer Morons. Who wrote this? Can't remember if it's Trueheart. Yeah, Trueheart and Vasquez. Overall, a pretty good show. It was pretty ambitious show as well. And it was great to see now Zim dealing with further characters in the world. I don't know how well this game of tag worked out. If that conveyed that well, but I think it works pretty well. The whole the B joke is something really ridiculous. It was pretty funny. It was great just to see. Always in Zim's world in these early days, there was a whole juxtaposition of, this incredible technology that, could probably withstand a star, burning it, but could not stand up to the impact of a bee. Really fun, playful stuff. It was really fun also seeing Gur out in the world. The whole the series of scenes with Gur in the discotheque as Zim's trying to talk to him, or Gur getting dropped off by a bunch of girls outside of Zim's house, after this night at this discotheque. Really fun. That was some of the charm that later created a show like Gur Goes Crazy, where you could see Gur had this other life outside of this mission. While he was on Earth, he was a pure hedonist. Really, really fun writing. And then, of course, the action sequence in the end of this was very nice, too. Zim on the giant pig. And that was really great and playful, seeing Gur come out in that government man outfit. Great little animation. It's really fun and playful too that Zim would have this. He has all this technology, but yet he disguises his tow vehicle with this giant pig. I always thought it was a takeoff on pigs can fly, or whatever. If pigs could fly, sort of that saying, So there's this flying pig, but a very fun and graphic shape to play with. You can see some of the work is still pretty early in this show. You see those smudges on the wall. They look like just sprayed dirt on the walls. You're never supposed to have an airbrushed edge to any of the artwork in this show. It was always supposed to be hard edges. So when you see smudges that looked airbrushed in the show, or airbrushing in the shows, even though some shows up later in the season, because one of our artists switched out, one of our color artists, and we ended up with him airbrushing stuff. It was never supposed to be that way. You would have a gradient occasionally, something like the sky, that would be airbrushed or done as a gradient. But other than that, things on the ground, all the little textures were always supposed to be hard shapes. No airbrushing. So that was an overseas mistake. Overseas would always misinterpret our designs, our backgrounds, and our colors. It took a while. As we went into shows 8 and 9, somewhere around there, they really started to become adept, and they followed fairly closely to what we did. But they had a rather liberal interpretation early on. There's Roman Dirge off to the left. There's Rob Hummel off to the right. You can see him with the black shirt and the shorts. And there's Frank down there onto the right. Frank was becoming a repetitive character in the shows. Very nice guy to work with. And he actually became a character. He became Frank in our show, just like he was TV's Frank in Sci-Fi Theater 2000, 3000. He was a character on this show, and he did his voice for his character. This is the first time his character shows up. He had started working on the show somewhere around this point. It's a pity there wasn't a musical sting on that. There was originally a much longer scene here. For time, we had to cut this out. I guess the time afforded us the action sequence at the end. But there was a whole sequence. I don't think it was animated. I think it was just storyboarded of Zim dealing with those people in there, the saucer morons. Wasn't anything that's really missed from the show. It was a series of jokes. It really didn't pertain to the story. Fun stuff, but not necessary. I believe that character was played by John Tadashori, I think was his name. Really great character actor. Excellent voice actor. Really great dialogue. That's a great little reference to Alien. These flashes, really nice little touches, those flashes. Flashes of Zim imagining himself being cut up. I'm surprised nobody said anything about those either, because you see all these knives and organs. Really gruesome pictures, actually. That woman starts showing up later on in other episodes as well. I think it was great to see recurring characters. Even though it was Jonan and I think, having these recurring characters, even, it could have been anybody from the show. It was really nice. Sort of gave you a history and a sense of community in the series. Jonan usually wanted it to always be something different. He wanted every show, every background, everything to be different. Nothing repeats in the series. And, I think for fans of the show, I think they want to see characters that occur again and again. And in fact, there are like lists on the internet that I've seen of, people will find all these recurring characters and they'll list them down, as well as staff cameos. They'll list those down on the internet. A lot of fervent enjoyment of the show going on the internet communities. I think that's a mistake, I think that was always supposed to be the same arm. He holds out the same arm, and he scratches his ass with that same arm. I can't remember if the board was mixed up, or whether that was the board. It's a pity that we just never caught that and made it work properly. There he is, Frank Conniff. Well, Frank Conniff was talking to the guy, yep, I told you you'd come. And Frank had a little bit more dialogue in this. Cut out again for time. Government Man, this is an awesome idea. We tried to do a Frank Miller inside when you go inside of Government Man. It's supposed to be a shot of like Frank Miller's Dark Knight inside that tank. Never quite worked out as well as it should have. It's funny. It's just such weird spatial warping. I mean, Gur's big enough to just fit into that head, and yet, you look inside and there's this giant machine he's inside of.